Hello, welcome to this review of the Ukiyo Romance Tarot. My understanding is that within the English-speaking world, there are not many reviews of this deck, and I personally got really obsessed with it, and we're going to go through the reasons why I wanted it while I will do the flip through of this deck. But yeah, I think there's only one flip through available, and it's not that recent, and I think the deck has had some modifications since this other flip through that I have watched incessantly until deciding to get this deck. But first, before I get into the flip through, this is the box of this deck. It is just a very simple cardboard box that opens this way. And the deck is by Nijiya and is available on Etsy, I think, and also for other European customers on tarot.nl. It also came with this paper, mainly for Japanese users, because it's like vertical writing paper with, as we will see, the Empress embedded on the paper. Before I also start with the flip through, few words on the very basic guidebook. Each card comes with an association of the astrological sign and the planet. And in the deck, there is not really what those symbols mean, so one must already know them or search for them before. So that is what I did. I have now added all of them here on this little notebook to have at hand if I ever want to look at them, because I would like this deck to be my introduction to working with astrology when using tarot. But there's only the association of the elements, so fire, earth, wind, and water, and then there's also ways to how to read the cards, and also how to shuffle. And then there are a couple of spreads. So there's the past, present, and future spread. And there's also two other spreads in this deck, which could be interesting. One is the Big Dipper spread, and the other one is the horoscope spread. And after that, there's only for major arcanas, a bunch of keywords and the symbols, again, of the astrological connotations. And then for the minor arcana, it's only these tables with one upright keyword and one reversed keyword for all of them. And there's also a reminder of the elements associated with this suit and the keywords of the suit. So that's kind of interesting. And then the astrological signs of the suit. There's only 3 per suit. So let's get into the flip through now, and I'll tell you at the same times the reason why I wanted this deck. So first of all, we are getting into spring right now, and I honestly was just in need of a deck that was a lot more colorful, and this deck is very colorful. Even though I somehow was expecting the cards to be even more vibrant than they are, like in person, the colors are not as vibrant as in the other walkthrough I saw on YouTube. And even on my camera right now, I think that in person the cards are a little more faded. So that's one thing to note. But yeah, it is still very colorful, and I love that. And also the artwork is, of course, the main reason why I wanted this deck. I've always been really into manga art. And I think a lot of us are interested in a Japanese themed deck. But out there, the manga, like really manga-oriented decks were not that interesting to me. And then there's also recently been released, I think recently, the Yokai Tarot by Los Carabeo. But this deck, in terms of the colors and even the world that it was depicting, was not as interesting to me. So that's kind of why I ended up getting this deck instead. And yeah, it's just, it really tells a story in each card. And yeah, it's very lovely. And there's even a little bit of humor, like in this Judgment card with this big drum that brings different reactions from the different characters here. And also, one thing I hadn't realized before getting the deck, because I just was really obsessed with the art, is just what Ukiyo means. So like the title of the deck and what it represents. According to Wikipedia, Ukiyo means the floating world. And it also represents a certain period in Japanese history of kind of when, I don't know, they finally were able to have some economic growth. Don't quote me on anything. It comes from Wikipedia, and now I'm trying to remember just from what I read a couple hours ago. So anyway, it was, I think, between the 17th and 19th century, and people started to really, have some money and be able to indulge in life, and got really into this kind of artwork representing geisha and kabuki actors, which represent kind of like actors in theater, and also wrestlers. And funnily enough, like this deck actually have some representation of very known ukiyo paintings from very famous Japanese artists. So it has kind of like taken back some famous paintings and put them back in this deck, but they all represent this ukiyo painting era. So this kind of culture associated with this deck is very interesting, and it makes me want to maybe try to find the original artwork for which some of the art in this deck, or even all of it, is based from. But yeah, so this is another element that is very interesting. And so in this review that I am doing now, what we're going to do is that I'm going to study the deck for an entire month. This is kind of my first day of really working with it. And so I'm going to show the different readings I'm going to do, or that I will be doing. And show you how to read with this deck. I also think the colors represented in the background of this deck are linked with chakras. So that's another kind of interesting information that one can study this deck with. So in a sense, I do think this could be a very good study deck in terms of the astrological association, in terms of the chakra association, in terms of the cultural association with the artwork, and for people that maybe study like the history of art or want to study the history of art. But yeah, it's very immersive it's a very immersive deck. Like when playing with it earlier and doing my deck interview, I for the first time really felt compelled to put some ambient Japanese music in the background to kind of even more like give me this this vibe of entering the world represented. I also think with this deck it's very easy to imagine yourself meeting one of the characters in this deck, kind of like you're on a quest and then you encounter, for example, this Lord of Swords and listen to what he's telling you, or this Ace of Cups, which is so fantastic, and what he has to tell you. And this Four of Cups has frogs. So. And this one has dragonflies. So anyway, there are a lot of symbols that one can play with when reading with this deck. And we are now going to reach the end of this flip through. Look at this Page of Cups. He's so wonderful. And finally, here is the Lord of Cups with art in the background that we probably all know, and actually is part of this ukiyo art period, where after representing geishas and actors and wrestlers, there had been a shift, I think, towards the 19th century of wanting to move away from representing this towards representing nature and landscapes. And that's when new artists and the one that did this one came forward. So here you go. This was the Ukiyo Romance Tarot. I didn't comment on the cardstock, but it is very nice. It's quite this plasticky feel, but it seems like it will be then a little sturdier. One comment also is that the deck came, at least for me, a little bit bent already. And I think it's because the very tiny guidebook was actually underneath the deck in the box, like this. So I'm going to shuffle while not in camera because I need both my hands to do that. And after that, I will show you how it looks to read with like 3 cards. So this is what you might expect. I really like these backs. I think they're very nice. And then this is what a reading might look like. And then I think for these cards, it really fits to put them right next to each other because the frame of the cards kind of match. And then you can see if the colors of the chakras that are represented kind of match, if the landscapes kind of match. It's kind of very comic feel to it, especially with the font of the titles of the cards. So this is what it might look like to read with the deck. So very colorful. And immersive, as I've already said. So the way that I work when I get a new deck is I systematically do this 1 month of using the deck and using the deck alone. I think it's important to get to know it, to get your own connotation with the deck, with certain cards, when you always end up getting the same card, for example, and just, you know, working the deck until you're tired of it, and then maybe you can kind of move on, find new ways to use it with an oracle, and things like that. This tower really give me Spirited Away vibes as well, so I really like that. Okay, so final little one. This is the card where there is some existing painting shown on the Wikipedia page of Ukiyo, where this is very much inspired by existing art. But here you go, and so yeah, stay tuned for the rest of the video for actual readings I have been doing with this deck. So this is the deck interview I did with this deck. This is the very first spread and reading that I've done with this deck, and this deck interview is based off one from Katie Flowers. So this is what the card represents. So let's just go into it more precisely. So the first card I pulled was, funnily enough, the Empress. And I'm saying funnily enough because I think this is an important card for this deck in particular, because it is the one that was on like the paper that was given in addition to the deck. And also, when deciding whether I should purchase this deck, I've actually done a spread before purchasing, and the Empress came up in kind of the 3 cards that would correspond to the path if I were to purchase this deck rather than if I don't. So it seems like this card, for the position of what are you here to teach me, is very relevant. And also this Empress, compared to Empresses in other decks, I found it to be more kind of in this indulgence, luxury space, like very assertive and, you know, kind of the mistress of the house, the one that gives orders and really rules, you know, whereas I think most of the decks I've encountered so far, and my definition until then of the Empress was really this burst of creativity, really this springy growth vibe, and so on. But as I've already said, these cards are also related to the astrological signs and planets. So here we are in Venus in Taurus. And so the way that I've been doing this reading here is to first get my first impression of the cards and then actually use ChatGPT to ask this relationship between tarot and symbols of astrology. So I would give him, okay, what does Venus in Taurus mean associated with the Empress? And it would tell me, because I want this deck to be kind of my first introduction to astrology, to maybe start using the symbols, learn what each sign kind of mean and represent. And I think this was really great and was really adding to my original knowledge and also what I got from the art when reading the cards. So let me just, to kind of speed up this little part of the video and not stay all on the Empress, I'm actually going to take my notes on this reading and we'll now go through. So to the question, what am I here to teach you with the Empress? Like I've already mentioned, I said I am here to teach you the pleasures of life, a different view of the divine feminine, the joy of luxury, assertiveness, and beauty. I am here to teach you how to become the woman you've always wanted to become, and I've put as a keyword self-worth. And that keyword came from analyzing at the later stage with the association of Taurus and Venus. So then, position 2, how does the deck see itself? So I'm answering at the first person, so I'm talking as if I'm the deck now. I see myself as 2 of Pentacles, a working person. I couldn't tell if this was a man or a woman. I'm assuming it's a man, but it's a very androgynous figure. So I'm trying to stay kind of androgynous. But so you can see a kind of a fisherman here. And so in the first person as the deck, I am a fisherman here to dig the truth of your intentions, not letting you choose the wrong options. Balancing act between water and earth, because one foot is in the water here and the other foot is on the earth. Between abundance and emptiness. One of the card here has fish and the other one does not. I am choice. I am the path that requires discipline to reach long-term goals. So this last sentence also comes from the association of Capricorn and Jupiter. So then, how does the deck see me? So the deck sees me as 7 of Pentacles, a bit lost, not knowing what to do with the current multiple pieces that constitutes your life. You have aspirations, but you don't know how to realize them. You want to please, but it makes your cup empty. This is the red cup that she's holding. You need to get back some of what you share with the world. And then I put as keywords reflections on goals, which is actually the keyword for this card in the very small guidebook. And another keyword would be a slow bloom. I would like here also to bring your attention, and we're going to go back to this, towards the play between the characters. So the cards that represent me in this spread is looking down at the Empress. And the Empress is also kind of looking back at what I represent right now. And the 2 of Pentacles that represent the deck is also kind of looking at either myself or the Empress. And now if we get into the 4th position, which is how can I best work with the deck? So I can work best with the deck via trying to make my dreams come true, by thinking truly of what I want from my life, and then the deck will help me get there. As it stands, I first need to have the vision to be able to work with the deck, the vision of what I want to achieve. And I need to know where I'm going. So I also put, after further thinking with ChatGPT again, of Pisces and Mars, which are the association with this card, and also just the kind of aspects of the 10 of Cups that maybe the deck can help me with the idea of collective joy, which we can really see in this deck, because it's not just a family, or I don't know, maybe the 2 women here are sisters or something, but it's not just about family. It's also just about a group of people coming together. So maybe the deck can help me work on that. So kind of reaching harmony with people. So the card after is what are the weaknesses of the deck? And I got the 7 of Cups. So 7 of Cups are my weaknesses and limitations, talking as the deck, or cultivating illusions, not facing reality, living in a world of my own making. I am not The deck is not here for that. It is here for getting me where I need to go, as we have seen with the Ten of Cups, and teaching me assertiveness to achieve my dreams, as we have seen with the Empress. And so as we can see here, funnily enough, she's pointing at a rainbow that is barely visible in this card, and also at kind of this illusion. But she is not looking at where she's pointing. She's looking at her lover or at the person next to her. So to me, we can really see through, like, once again, the way that the spread is made, that the vision would be to actually where she is looking. And that is what we should kind of avoid, like, this is what we've been doing and this is where we should go instead, by using the advice of the deck, which this character is looking at. And the advice of the deck is to become more assertive. So we are coming full circle. And then the strength of the deck, we come back to this idea of choices that already came up in the Two of Pentacles, and also in the Seven of Cups, because we have the Lovers card. And the Lovers card can mean many things, but one of the main thing that it represents is also choices. So I put here in my notebooks, my strengths are once again helping you to make the right choices, with unconditional love as your compass. Empress vibes, attracting the man she wants, the life she wants, because I just felt like, there's also this idea in this Empress that, and geishas in general, because I was really getting into the world of this deck, that you're not gonna ask or you're not gonna beg for the things you want, you're gonna attract them by being your most confident self. And this idea is repeated here, like the female character is giving me Empress vibes, and she attracted her lover by her light. And once again, communication is also one of the key strengths of the deck. And one thing that came up with association of Gemini in Mercury, which actually Mercury is the planet that is associated with Gemini independently from tarot. So it's like Gemini in its most strong power, let's say, according to ChatGPT at least. And in the text related to that, there was this idea of aligning opposites, so masculine and feminine, conscious and subconscious, heart and mind. So the deck might be good as doing this kind of alignment work. And then something very funny happened while discussing with ChatGPT, which is that when I pulled this card, asked for what the associations of astrology meant with it, it then right away asked me if I wanted to have a similar analysis of the devil, because the devil and the lovers are closely associated in tarot, but also apparently concerning the astrological signs that it evokes. Sorry about that. And funnily enough, for the last card, which is what are the potential outcome of my time together with this deck, I got the Devil, which is Capricorn in Saturn, which is also like the strongest power for Capricorn. Like Saturn is the planet associated with Capricorn. And so the Devil can have positive meanings. Also, I love this Devil card. I hate the Devil card in the Rider-Waite-Smith. It's one of the one I like, a card I really don't get along with the art. It's a card that scares me, and I've done a lot of work to understand why and so on. But in this card, there is this idea of being, restricted and have some bondage going on. But the devil itself behind, I kind of like it a lot. It is a monster, like a scary character, but it also has this idea of showing your true nature. So to me, this card once again kind of tells me that in my time with the deck, I'm going to let go of all this bullshit and this illusion that is in front of my true nature. Like, to me, this monster could be the Empress, you know? Like, maybe that's a weird thing to say, but it's really, you know, there is a connection here, and with the idea that with my time in the deck, I should be able to let go of my illusions, let go of things that are restricting me, and living my best life and the life that I actually want, instead of a false reality of some kind. So yeah, I've put let go of chains of illusions and uncertainty to access your true nature, your true calling, and unleash it. And I've also put let go of self-sabotage. That also came from ChatGPT. And of the cost of unchecked desire. This was very relevant to me because I've been struggling right now with my times in front of screens, my time of doing procrastination instead of maybe advancing on projects that I have in the long term. And it seems like this deck really understood it. So hopefully this was helpful. It was quite long, and yeah, so I'll get better at this. This is, after all, the first time I'm doing this on YouTube. Just as a final note on this spread, I like to also look at the last card of the deck, at the cut, if you will, when pulling all the cards. And I got the 8 of Cups, and this idea of leaving behind some emotional baggage, which I think is, I didn't get it right away, because I looked at this first and I was like, okay, let's see. Like, sometimes when I look at the cut, I know right away what the theme will be, and I was kind of struggling to understand, but now I understand that leaving behind this emotional baggage is leaving behind kind of this uncertainty of what to do with my life, and maybe also kind of bad habits that I would like to get rid of. So kind of a really good first spread, and a very easy to read deck.